Welcome, welcome. This is Marnie Swedberg. I am so excited to have you here with us. We are going to be talking about how and why to attract and equip brand ambassadors with our guest today, Lisa Peters. Get a notepad or something ready because you're going to want to take some notes. We're going to talk about the hidden value of a team of brand ambassadors, exactly how to identify and attract ideal and promoters, what's in it for them, and why you've got to get this part right, your minimum viable engagement in order to sustain support, resources to develop and share with these spokespeople, the insider strategy that most leaders miss, and why it will make or break your ambassador relationships. Our guest today is Lisa Peters. She's a Canadian television personality and keynote speaker, best known for her corporate event management firm. She has over 30 years working with local and international clients and is currently on the executive cabinet for the Canadian Red Cross in Saskatchewan, as well as a member of the National Advisory Board for Leader Impact Canada. You can learn more about her over at her website, lisapeters.ca. CA stands for Canada. Excited to welcome you here right now. Welcome, Lisa.
Thanks for having me, Marnie. It is great to be here.
Well, and it's great to have you. And this is such a good topic. We haven't talked about volunteer teams or ambassador things for a while. And you bring such a unique perspective to it with the branding side of things incorporated into it. So maybe let's just start with, what is a brand ambassador?
So, I always thought, well, I actually think that brand ambassadors are sort of like, when I hear brand ambassador, I kind of roll my eyes, honestly. I think, the person that's selling something, but they're getting the discount, right? Like, you should buy this brand of makeup. You should buy this something, right? And they're getting that cut, the cut on it. And it's not just that. Brand ambassadors are really, they're followers of your brand. They are customers of your brand. There could be employees, and good or bad, they're brand ambassadors, right? Like, you think of an employee who's driving a truck. And good or bad, they just got a speeding ticket, makes your brand, So they also can be volunteers, which is something I love. Community leaders, and of course there are influencers, but sometimes they're paid. And I have a little, if you're being paid, are you really bought into the brand? So that's just sort of how I feel where brand ambassadors may be defined. How's that?
Yeah. So let's just play with this for just a moment, because I was thinking before we came live here, I was thinking, in my mind, it's like your raving fans, really. These are the people who follow you. When you write a new book, they buy it. When you have something going on, they support it. They invite people.
Yeah, and these are the people that love you, right?
Yeah.
Those are the people that have bought in, and they want to follow you. They believe in you. They trust you. Yes, but companies actually hire brand ambassadors. So authors may hire brand. So you go out there and you share more about the brand, the book, the company. So we're looking at a team, right? A brand team.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as we go forward, let's go ahead and address both. Let's go ahead and address both, potentially a team that you may hire or bring in, and then also those people that just love you and want to help get the word out about what you're doing. Yeah, great. I love that.
All right.
So talk to us about the hidden value of these people.
Well, I think the hidden value is these people are 10 times more effective to you. They love you. As we just noted, they amplify the trust in your brand, in your company. That's what they are. They often become your most loyal customers, your most loyal referrals. They are your culture builders. They are your grassroots marketing. And I don't know if everyone, realizes how important that's the hidden value of a brand ambassador. Being paid, but when they love you and they just want to, there's nothing for them. That's a hidden gem, really. That's a hidden value. Yeah.
I love that. I host womenspeakers.com, and I know that over the years, I've had many speakers recommend other speakers and get nothing for it, just a recommendation. And in the last several years now, we've been able to share a 25% one-time thank you gift with them, which I have loved. But it is interesting how even on the part of the brand ambassador, if you would, on the part of that raving fan who just wants to share it with people, doesn't care if they get paid. There is a little hesitance on even the recipient's part to get paid, as if that diminishes the validity of their delight in what you're serving up. So I think I want to just say, like, from my heart, I'm so delighted to get to share revenue. Like tomorrow, we're having a summit, and I get to share revenue with the speakers. I get to share revenue with the affiliates. That delights me to sow back into people's ministries.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I mean, that's awesome. And I find that even in my own, because I'm from the city that I live in and surrounding area, I know a lot. I'm the connector.
Yeah.
I am, when people need someone, they call me and it's like, Lisa, we need this. And I don't take anything. It's, I'm honored that they call me.
Right.
And I mean, they'll remember me next time they might need a host or an MC or moderate.
Right.
But yeah, it's one of my, I'm a connector.
So I guess I'm thinking about this financial piece here. Mm-hmm. And I guess what I want to say for me personally, what I love to do, I have to have things that are for sale, of course. There have to be some things that have prices on them. This is the, good amount to donate, or this is the actual cost of something. But then there's all the rest of the stuff, all the rest of the connecting things that go on that we can just do with an open hand. And we can share out people. We can go to Amazon, give someone a good review, all that kind of stuff you don't get paid for, but it is just something that as a connector, as a collaborator, as someone who wants to support somebody else, we just do. And then I think on the other side, if you get a thank you, if you get something in remuneration for that, don't look down on that. And I think to value both sides of it, the brand, having people that are willing to share you, paid or not paid, whatever, is just incredibly valuable. Let's talk about how to attract the ideal promoters then.
Well, I want to look for alignment. Like, are they aligning with what I believe or you believe, the company believes, volunteer organizations, all of it. And so really I sort of base that through a 3-filter program. It's my 3 filters. And one is just belief. Do you believe in what you're doing? Do they believe in what I'm doing? Like, is there actual belief here? Do they believe it in their heart that we're doing something great? So then behavior. Are they already sharing this? Like, this is just a natural, they're promoting it naturally. So, they're already doing it. It's just, it's their behavior. And ultimately, you do look at bandwidth. I mean, if I was a company looking, I'd go, do they have the time or the motivation to even do this? So again, do they believe in what they're doing? Behavior, are they already sharing what we have? And do they believe, and are they promoting it naturally versus a very pushed effort, and then just, if you are looking at someone, paid or not paid, do they have the bandwidth? Do they have the time to actually do what you're asking them to do? Because you want them to be engaged with you. So.
Absolutely right. I'm thinking, I just said this to somebody last month. I said, there's 2 different kinds of supporters that I see. The one supporter is just so happy to support and almost really doesn't like the idea of getting paid. That makes them feel slimy or whatever. And then there's the other kind of supporter who loves supporting, and they really appreciate the commission or the, whatever, the thank you gift. So I think that both are fine, whichever, as a listener here, whichever way you lean toward yourself, that's probably mostly who you're going to attract, actually. Just because if you are very uncomfortable getting paid to communicate something, you probably have a harder time to attract those people.
Yeah. And you really have to understand who you're talking to. Like, right. They personally inviting someone and to talk to them, ask them the why. Why are you aligning with me? And, you are right. Some people want to do it because they absolutely love you. And they want to be part of the team. They want to give as much as they can. Right. Yeah.
Well, and what's coming right to mind right now are the people who are the natural. They walk out of a restaurant and give them 5 stars and a nice review. And the other people who never give anybody a review, good or bad. Yeah. It just isn't who they define themselves as. Right. So we're really, for the brand ambassadors, you're really looking for the people who define themselves as someone who wants to share about whatever they're really, truly excited about. They want to share that with the people in their world. And that's that's who they are. That's the natural who they are. Yeah. So then they need some help to be able to share. So talk to us about the kind of a minimum. What do we have for them?
Well, I think, when you ask like what's in it for them, I can see the
Mhm.
question along, and you think like, why should I care? And how do I win with you? So how do I win having them on my team? And you mentioned a couple here. Some people love recognition, right? And some people don't. So
Yeah.
know that about them, that they love the shout outs, they love the features, they love the leadership roles. And some people are like, no, no, you just
Vaccines. Hmm.
right back seats. So yeah, so just understanding recognition, who you want to recognize, and who's very much I'm good, right? There's two. I love verbal recognition, but other people don't. So some of your some people who want to be brand ambassadors love the access, right? They love access to the early releases. They feel special when you give them, and that's little, like that is a little thing. The behind the scenes, maybe there's some sort of the behind the scenes party, behind the scenes show. Come see what we actually talked about, what was actually said. This is the 2 hours we talked, but we so you can get a different story.
Yeah.
And then and I know, because I've hosted these as just private events. Maybe your brand ambassadors, struggling with that word, have private events, right? And they get invited. There's the very special, right? So just what access can you give someone, and knowing who they are. Some people like growth. They love your company, and they're, if you ever offered them training, they would be right in there. That's all they want, is just to grow with you, and credibility in the circle of whatever brand it is. If it's your church, your baking, whatever it is, the circle that you are, they want some recognition that they were part of your team. And the other thing I think of is just incentives. Obviously, just referrals, bonuses, commissions. There are people that like that or need it. I'm at a time in my life where I have joined boards that I absolutely love, and you listed a few there. I'm on a few others, but I love them. I don't get paid. I'm a volunteer, and I love them. The incentive to be involved is I just get to be part of a really great team.
Really great thing. Yeah.
Yeah, a really great thing going on in my community that I can help. So sometimes, we're brand swag, commissions, and sometimes just thank you.
Yeah.
And know who the person is. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So minimum viable engagement in order to sustain support. I think before you answer that one, I want to just throw my 2 cents in here for you guys. As you are leading a team of brand ambassadors or volunteers or committee members or whatever kind of teams you're leading, it's so critical that you set expectations realistically and keep to a timeline. People are very busy, and you'll have some people who literally will come a half an hour late. And I always think this is cute, but like on time, a half an hour late every time. That's the one that's really funny, is because they can be on time a half hour late every time. And then you've got your people who really are prompt and are watching the clock, and they actually have another meeting to go to right after this one. If you will honor the time of those people who are time conscious, if you will honor their time, they'll be able to continue working with you. And if you dishonor their time, you will lose those very high, well, I'm going to say highly productive, because typically those people are the most productive people.
Mm-hmm.
And if you dishonor their time in favor of honoring the time of the person who isn't really paying attention to time, you'll lose some of your best ambassadors, because they just simply can't afford to sit around waiting for people. They need to feel like their time is being valued. And another thing is, if you have them come an hour early, have something for them to do. Don't have them just stand around. It's so interesting how you can lose ambassadors and volunteers very easily simply by not honoring their time.
Yeah. I have a group meeting every Tuesdays and Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. We log on at 7. I'm on early if anyone wants to log on, but literally women love. And I have a 90% rate that show up. They log in at 7, they log out at 8. We're done. I don't carry it on. Nobody's missed anything.
Right.
It's consistent.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I'm right on with you with just being engaged, be consistent. And when we say show up, I just heard, Tom Hanks, I think I was watching a video today. So when it says show up, it means on time, it means 5 minutes early. It means
Mhm.
early. That's on time.
And it's so different from like a dinner party, a big party in someone's home where 10 or 30 minutes late is just fine. When you're having a meeting with people who are volunteering or being paid for their time, you really do have to just think of it in a different way.
Yeah.
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 Awesome.
Yeah.
So, minimum viable engagement, what is it?
Well, we just talked a little bit about just being consistent, have consistent touch points with them, and if it's showing up on time consistently, right? Not a half hour late, but even the updates. So if you're going to update your volunteers, your brand ambassadors, whomever they are, be consistent. So if you're doing a monthly update, it's a monthly update. If you're doing a biweekly, it's a biweekly. If you're doing a podcast, if you're doing where you're providing, it's consistent. So a monthly update. If I think if I want to feel special and to be viable and engaged in this, we're really into WhatsApp, the chat.
Yeah, what's up? Mhm.
But it's a quick check-in, short
Mhm.
messages, and just or a private Facebook group, whatever your social media.
Right.
I'm 55, so I'm on Facebook, and that's a check-in for me. But my younger generation is WhatsApp, so just having that, engage them with that. A quarterly check-in. So I know in one of my groups we do, actually it's about every 6 months, so it's not quarterly. And we'll actually meet. We are an online group. We are from all across from my province, so we actually have check-ins. But more than just a check-in, we'll actually meet in person where we're an online group. So just meeting with them and caring about them, is just be engaged in their lives more than just, you're my brand ambassador, right? Be engaged in their lives and be consistent. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that. I know one of the things that is a concern for busy leaders is to become overwhelmed, and I just encourage you to don't set it up at the beginning so that you're checking in every day or even every week. Give yourself, become aware of the reality that life is going to throw curveballs. Sometimes it's going to be a full quarter or half a year before you can get this group together again. And don't set the expectations so high for yourself or for them. Do something that's reasonable. Of course, depends on what you're talking about, but keep it reasonable.
And to add to that, because I have been the person that right off the bat, we're going to do this, and just grant yourself grace and admit, if you do fail, acknowledge and ask for, just not ask for forgiveness, but just grant yourself grace that, you got a little, like, we're going to do this, and then you didn't. And it's okay to say, I'm so sorry. I wanted to meet with you weekly. We're going to go bi-weekly. We're going to,
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah. And actually, most of the people on your team will be kind of relieved if you do that.
One less meeting. Yay.
One less meeting.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Right. All right. So we talked about kind of what's in it for them, what they have to have. What kind of resources should we be providing for them to be able to really communicate well with the people that they will be reaching out to?
Well, I know for probably you and me, I love, like, when you're doing a podcast, you're doing a radio show, and you have a guest coming up or giving them the graphics. So I can immediately take that graphic. So if we had a graphic of this, and I know you created a beautiful one, I can share that. So just giving me the graphics and templates and the words, a lot of times just helps me. I just easily share, right? And share 10 times because you have made it easy. So the other thing would be talking points. So, we can, well, I know chat could do it. We could just put this into chat and it'd give us our highlights, right? And say, hey, join us on this radio show. We're talking about this. Give that to them. So, you would provide that to me and I would put it out there. I also think, which is a tough one, but a brand voice guide. So this is our brand. This is how we speak. This is how this is the images we put out, and just giving them some guidelines. I think people like guidelines. They like to know where to go, what we can do. Maybe platforms they should talk on, shouldn't talk on, or how to reply to a platform comment. Don't reply, if it's negative, but just sort of that. A one or a voice guide. But I was also thinking just the one pager on the brand. Right? Like a missions, values, goals, so where they're going.
Yeah. So like even for me, I found your podcast. I love your podcast. And
Mhm.
on especially on Apple, it just gives you that little blurb at the top that just kind of
Right.
says exactly what this is, what you can expect here. And then by the time you listen down or look down through maybe 5 or 10 recent podcasts, you get a good feel for the voice and what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing you want to provide in advance for your ambassadors. And as well as I am a big fan of 4 different sizes of images to share
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
have the wide, which goes on the video cover. You have the square, and then you have the new Instagram size. Bummer,
What?
and I know, and then
Yeah.
you have the tall story size. And
Yeah.
so, if you can provide people with that, no matter what platforms they are on, they will be able to share out what you're doing. And if you can give them fresh ones, so every time you've got something fresh to share, give them some fresh images and resources. I always recommend Canva. It just does the
Oh,
most
yes.
amazing opportunity to create just stellar images for your brand and go
Yeah.
from there. Any other thing that's coming to your mind right there?
That's so funny that you ask because I just thought, storytelling, right? It's the narrative. It's
Yeah.
it's the captions of the stories that you're sharing. And I have a lot of stories to share, but I think of people that are coming on and they go, "Oh, I don't have a story." It's okay to give them a story that they
Right.
can share until they have their own
Yeah.
stories, right?
Mhm.
Because stories sell a brand way more than stats and numbers and that. So I definitely think providing them a story until they have their own. Because
I love that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
just because we're the storytellers. Oh,
Yeah, I think give them permission to share their own story too.
yeah.
Give them, tell them. It's amazing how people wait to be asked. They wait to be, given permission to do something or called on to do something in order to really think it through. So just ask, and if they've ever said anything nice about you or a product that you have or a resource, just say, when you wrote that right there, that was so helpful. I think other people would really like to hear something like that because it wouldn't, I always say it would give them the courage
Yeah.
to take the action. It would give them the courage to reach out. Yeah, good. So, last one. I want the insider strategy that most leaders miss.
I don't even know if this is a big one, but I like it's just to involve them in the co-creation of your brand, your broadcast. Allow me to have a voice. You're speaking into it. When I have you on my podcast, right? It's just allowing me to either have an opinion or and outright asking someone, what would make this better? What would make this radio show better? What do you think as a listener, as an ambassador? What are you hearing out there? You know, you live in Florida. I live in Saskatchewan. I can tell you if people are listening and they're, and sometimes feedback's really hard. I remember my first set of feedback came, and I'm really trying to write a book, and the first feedback came, and it was really hard. But
Hmm.
it's we as leaders we miss that. I think we afraid? Are we afraid to go, this wasn't perfect, right? And we're not perfect. So asking, what are you hearing out there? How can I do this better? What would you love to be part of? What can I let you be part? What would just asking questions and allowing them to co-create with you is so important. And it doesn't always work in all contexts. I get that, all context, but just ask. People have an opinion. Which recently, when I was telling you I wrote the book, I'm writing this book and I wrote the first 10 chapters and I gave it to my editor and she came back at me with, there's a little too much opinion and a little too much. It was because I'm telling stories, but I'm injecting my own opinion in this. I don't know if that makes sense, but
It does.
yeah, I have to cut back and tell and let their voice be heard. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I know. I interviewed Cecil Murphy several times over the years. He's written 125, many best-selling books,
yeah.
and he said that's the hardest thing for a writer to do is to not give too much of your own. Like, here's the obvious thing you got to do after reading this. Don't
Yes.
do that. Let the reader come to
Yep.
their own conclusion, and it's hard for us to do that. We want to make sure that they get the point here, but yeah,
Yeah, really, this is what you want to hear. Like,
yeah,
you
right.
want to do this. I know.
I'm sure you do. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, I host a talk show, like a TV talk show.
Mhm.
And I used to plan events, and a lot of people come on my show with events, and I still want to give my opinion on their event. And I have to just listen and
Right.
allow them a platform to share, their event. And I'm the biggest, I'm the biggest brand ambassador to those events. If you are doing something so good in my community, I want to share it. I want to give you a platform. I put it, not only is it on our TV, I will put it on my Facebook page, like a picture with something, and then I'll put a video on my LinkedIn. I'll put it on my website coming up. I'm your biggest ambassador when you are doing something in our community that just is awesome. Yeah. Because I think of what are we doing outside of, our jobs? Who are we promoting? Yeah.
I want to circle back to this insider strategies of getting them involved. The thing that's coming to my mind is when you realize that you are pregnant with a baby, okay, you tell your closest friends first. And then there are people, maybe high school friends or whatever, that find out after the baby's born or even after the baby's 4 years old, oh, you had a baby. So you've got these different levels of relationship in your life. The people you tell when it's just an idea, and the people you tell when it's in the development stage, and the people that come onto your book launch team before it comes out, all of these levels of engagement. And your brand ambassadors are those early people. That's who they are. And they self-identify as that for you, as well as you can invite them to be that if they haven't been so far. Well, this was so fun. Oh my goodness. So great.
And how special to be on the inside, right?
It has a totally different feeling to be the person that's the first to know, you know?
I like as you're talking, I'm like, that's some of my favorite moments is being someone's inside and knowing when they've done something or had the baby or pregnant or got the job or the job's been offered.
Yes.
And they share it with you and you're like, oh, I'm on the inside,
Right. Absolutely. That's what we really have to offer, actually, as a thank you of having people closer to us than they would have been otherwise. Lisa, this has been amazing. I want you guys to go over, check out lisapeters.ca. When they get over there, Lisa, what are they going to find?
So I've got it was funny. I was working earlier today on uploading. So I have a podcast, Leader Impact Canada, and we interview marketplace leaders who integrate their personal, professional, and spiritual. So it is a business podcast, but it's how you integrate. So I usually have a new posting on there, and I usually talk about my talk show and then any events that I have coming up that I'm maybe emceeing at or moderating. I don't think I have any moderating coming up or leading, but yeah, it's just more about, what I do. And I think I really, it's more about sharing what's going on in our community. That's what I love doing. And being part
of that. Yeah, I love that. I'm a connector collaborator too. And it's just, it's so fun. It's so fun to be involved in other people's stuff, not just your own stuff, but
to
in other
help.
people's stuff.
We are meant to be part of a community. That's why we are created. And I think if I'm speaking to the younger people, I'm going to acknowledge that when I was 20 years old, I was working 14-hour days, and I was hardcore going for the money, and if you look back, you'll find that. And then as I got older, I realized this is more about the community. And but it was this, not saying it happened overnight. I'm not perfect, but it was a transition. And now it's like, I love going out and supporting the community.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marnie. It was awesome.
And thanks you guys for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon.